Norfolk Southern's South Yard in Atlanta's Mechanicsville neighborhood, a place that traces its roots back to the Southern Railway. This is part of Norfolk Southern's Atlanta South District, which goes to Macon, Georgia. Back there, the company's former Pegram shops. I can only imagine decades ago, engines like Southern 6901 sitting there waiting to be serviced. But right now, we're waiting on a much more modern locomotive with a flashy paint scheme. I got word from a railfan friend of mine that NS train number 187 had an issue and would be setting off some cars here. As I approached the yard, I got a glimpse of what I was here to see. Kansas City Southern 4859, the Safety Starts Here locomotive. I'd eventually get a better look at the engine at the northwestern end of the yard. Now, I couldn't see it from here, but my understanding is that one of these maintenance of way cars had a broken knuckle. I cannot confirm that with 100% certainty, but from a distance, that seemed to be the issue. Of course, corrections are always welcome. Many of you probably know this already, but the knuckle is this part of the coupler. The book, The Railroad, What It Is, What It Does, defines a knuckle as the pivot and casting that fits into the head of a coupler to engage a mating coupler. That book is a great resource, but let's get back to what was going on today. Presumably, a Norfolk Southern carman was down there assessing the situation. The 3 KCS locomotives would eventually pull away from the cars and start heading my way. A few switches would need to be thrown to get the engines back out of the yard. Then it was time to back up. Most of the engine noise you're hearing is from those 2 big GEs. The third locomotive in the lash-up is an EMD. I've got my zoom lens maxed out as they pass by those cars they just dropped off. The image is getting a little grainy now, but don't worry, I'll get a better shot of them soon. If you listen closely, you can hear them sounding the horn at the other end of the yard. That's a little under a mile from where I was, but my handheld scanner was really having trouble receiving them as they spoke to the dispatcher.
KCS 4859.
That's the last I'd see of these engines for a while. I'm not entirely sure where the rest of NS 187 was. Anyway, I now had a little time on my hands to get a few shots of this old Southern Railway property. Norfolk Southern no longer uses Pegram shops, but I believe they still own it and lease it to Collier Metals. Here's some footage I got of this place a while back. Believe it or not, the Fulton County property records available online actually still say Southern Railway Company on them. It's really close to downtown Atlanta, and from the air, you can see there was once a turntable down here. Lately, they've been filming movies and TV shows here. You may have even seen this property in an episode of The Walking Dead. Anyway, after 25 minutes of waiting, the signal here finally changed. But not much happened after that, so I decided to go look for the train. I've done some rail fanning in this area near South Yard before. This is footage from my archive. The railroad calls this location C.P. Henderson. I would say one of the more unusual aspects of this part of town is this old water tower. Check this out. At one time, Chick-fil-A had cows hanging off of it. And later, the Georgia Aquarium put a penguin on top. The water tower is a great marketing tool because you can see it really well from the highway. But I don't think there's anything too crazy up here now. Anyway, back to 2022. Take a good look. This is what we've been waiting for. Here's what's left of those maintenance of way cars, including that old boxcar with the roll-up door. And yeah, if you didn't notice, I ended up right next to the crossing bell. As you can see, NS 187 is a mixed freight train. It goes from Macon, Georgia to Irondale, Alabama. And I'll bet you guys would also like to know some more about KCS number 4859. It's a GE ES44AC painted for Kansas City Southern's Safety Starts Here initiative. None of its other engines are painted like this, so it's one of a kind. Something interesting about this scheme is that one side of the locomotive is in English, while the other is in Spanish. Of course, Kansas City Southern to Mexico operates south of the U.S. border. I've always found KCS paint schemes to be distinctive, but there's no telling what they'll look like once the merger with Canadian Pacific is complete. Oh well, I'm enjoying them while I can.